Stars fans, welcome to another episode of the Mighty Melbourne Stars podcast. I'm I'm Mighty Melbourne Stars, and I am joined by my co-hosts as always.
Hey guys, Jacob here from Melbourne Stars News, and pleased to be back on another episode, this time reviewing the fixture that has been released as of today. And we're also joined by Josh. How you going, Josh?
Yeah, g'day guys. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
It's good. Good to have you guys both back on. And yeah, what a day it's been. A lot of news around the league with the BBL fixture being released. A lot of talk about it. We have a lot to discuss. And we're going to kick things right off where we look at the 14th of December, where the Scorchers take on the Sixers. Now, typically the Stars host the open. I'm sorry, not host. Compete in the opener against the Perth Scorchers in Perth at Optus Stadium. That's been consistent the past few years. Now that's not happening anymore. What are you guys' thoughts on them swapping us out for the Sixers? Are you mad at it? Do you think we deserve the opening game of the season? How does this benefit us, or does it lose? Is it a loss for us?
Personally, I don't think it's a loss for us. As last year, we were pretty terrible. Going into the Scorchers season, and we weren't that good. I just think it's not a loss. I reckon we did pretty well not going to the not actually having the opening game. So I reckon we'll learn from it, and it'll be good to see how the Sixers go against the Scorchers.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of happy that we don't have to travel to Perth for our first game, because I think that sort of defines how we start our season off.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let me look at my note here. All right. So, look, last year I think we had a very hefty start to the season in terms of the quantity of games we played at the front half. Like, I've got a statistic here. In the first 9 days of BBL 15, we're only playing one game. And when you compare that to BBL 14, we played 3 games, which 2 of 3 were away games in 7 days, which is just a week. So I personally think that had an effect on us. Not only does it suck travelling to Perth to play our opening game, I mean, that pitch is not easy, especially for guys who are only at a domestic level, to compete against those Perth Scorchers who know the pitch so well. It makes it very difficult. And then to come home and play the reigning premiers, who were the Brisbane Heat, and then to travel to Adelaide without Glenn Maxwell and Ben Duckett for those past 2 games. They did end up coming back for that game against the Strikers, but you know, with a shortened squad and some big names missing, we really struggled in that opening week. And after just a week's play, we were 0-3, bottom of the ladder, no hope, no momentum, and I think that really put us down and set us off for a pretty shitty start to the season. So, look, we have one game in the first 9 days, which is not a lot at all, and it is a home game at the MCG, which is now our fortress, I believe, that we're going to be trying to defend as much as possible. So do you think that'll benefit us, guys, just having that little bit more time to kind of see how the other teams are going and how they're performing? It gives us time to look out for, you know, who we need to watch for, what we need to do, and just gives us time to look at our game plan.
I'll let you go, Josh.
Yeah, look, one game in 9 days. I sort of think that's a win for us because, if touchwood there's not, but if there is an injury on the first game, then we know we've got 9 days to obviously see how that goes. And I guess we can see how other teams also play, but it'd probably get a bit boring throughout those 9 days when we're not playing.
Yeah, look, I mean, when we wait all year, all you want to do is see your team play. But at the end of the day, everybody plays the exact same amount of games from a regular season. So, although it might be a slow start to the year, you know, with only playing one game, we don't have to worry because we have plenty of time to catch up later in the year after Christmas. Because, yeah, like I said, everyone plays the same amount of games. So, look, I think that first kind of start of the season isn't too bad for us. We get a lot of benefits out of, you know, starting a bit later, which is something that we haven't had before. And it's good to see the Big Bash League change the fixture around. My next point is the opener against the Canes at the MCG. Now, obviously, reigning premiers made some huge signings this offseason, took Bo Webster from us and signed a lot of other great players. Now, our last game of the regular season in BBL 14, we knocked them over. We knocked over the premiers at the MCG off a masterclass from Glenn Maxwell and Bo Webster. How do you think we match up against them? I know it's very hard to tell this early into the year, but how do you see us matching up against the reigning premiers?
I reckon we match up really well against them. Obviously, like you said, it's hard to tell. We obviously, like you said, beat them last year with a masterclass from Maxwell. I reckon we'll match up well against them again because it's at the MCG, and I think we've got a sneaky little record against the Hurricanes. We always seem to either beat them at the MCG or they get one over us. So it was good to beat them, and it'll bring us confidence bringing in going into the game one against them. So it'll be interesting to see, but I reckon we will do well against them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, I highly doubt Bo Webster will be in the round one team for the Hurricanes as due to Test cricket. But we usually have a good record at the G, and obviously against the Hurricanes. And Maxwell, well, we know he loves to play against the Hurricanes, so yeah, it's pretty good.
Yep. No, I like your predictions. I also agree with that. I think we have to go in with confidence, like me and Heath have discussed many times, but we'll get into more of that stuff a bit later on in the year. My next point is obviously there is only 8 BBL teams and we play 10 games, which means we play 3 teams twice. Now, obviously, we'll be playing the Melbourne Renegades twice, once at Marvel, once at the G. Now, the other 2 teams is the Adelaide Strikers, who I predicted, as Heath knows, and the Sydney Sixers. In terms of those teams, are you guys happy to play them twice? Would you have rather play somebody else? And how do you think we'll match up against those guys?
Well, for the Renegades, we always match up well against them. For the Adelaide Strikers playing twice, I think it's really good. I wanted to play the Hurricanes twice, as Jacob knows, but playing the Strikers and the Heat and the Sixers, I really don't mind. And I would have liked to play the Thunder twice, but we always seem to play them once. But that's okay. I think we can go well against those teams if we put our best cricket forward because our best is good enough to challenge anyone. So it'd be interesting to see how we go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think obviously playing the Renegades twice, you know, last year as we saw, we painted Melbourne green for 2 games. I think playing the Strikers twice would be pretty good, and Sydney Sixers twice that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and on the topic of the Sydney Sixers, Boxing Day cricket for the BBL is returning. It'll be the same 2 teams as last year, and that is the Melbourne Stars taking on Babar Azam and the Sydney Sixers. Look, it's going to be a blockbuster game. You know, Boxing Day cricket all day during the day, and then 8:05 p.m. start. I believe it's at the SCG, so that'll be a game to look out for, no doubt. How are you guys feeling going into that? We got New Year's Eve game taken away from us last season, but it looks like we have a new tradition, and that is Boxing Day.
Oh yeah, I can't complain. You know, Boxing Day is probably the biggest cricket day of the year, so yeah, there's no complaints about that.
Yeah, I agree with Josh. I got no complaints. Love love playing in the Boxing Day test of Boxing Day cricket. Love playing on that time slot, and I reckon we'll thrive under that the pressure of we're playing after the Boxing Day cricket. So it'd be interesting to see how we go, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yep, no doubt going to be some big games, not just for the Melbourne Stars, but for many other teams as well. And it takes me to my next point of this fixture analysis and review is notice how we only have 4 games at the MCG, which is our home turf, of course, Where is that fifth game? Well, it's at Manuka Oval, which is commonly known as the Sydney Thunder's home ground or their reserve home ground when they're not playing at Engine Stadium. Now, it's quite interesting. This actually happened last year as well, and it's happened in the previous years before. Now, obviously, being based in Canberra, the ground being based in Canberra, you'd think it would be the Sydney Thunder's home game when we are to play them. We only play them once throughout the year. I personally think it poses a little bit of a disadvantage for us, seeing as, the Thunder play there a lot. They're closer to the ground, they're familiar with the ground, it's their conditions. It just seems like it should be a home game for them. And then we're travelling away from Melbourne for that extra game. We've got to catch a flight to Canberra for our home game, and we don't know those conditions. We barely play at Manuka Oval. I think it's a big disadvantage to us. What do you guys take from that?
I generally don't understand it. I think technically I'll see it as the Thunder's home game, not the Stars' home game. Like I get it. If we had a home game at Marvel Stadium, that'd be different. But home game in Canberra, yeah, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, I don't understand why we have to play a home game at Manuka Oval unless we made a deal with the Big Bash and we were like, oh, could we sell some games at Manuka and everything? But I don't know. It's annoying. I would have loved to be at the MCG, but you can't. I guess you can't get what you want, and you have to do what we can. And the conditions it put us off, especially in that final last year. So I don't know. We just have to adapt to the conditions and hopefully learn from that final against the Thunder last year.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's definitely going to be difficult. And I like how you mentioned, Josh, it'd be totally different if we had a home game that wasn't at the G, but it was, local, like Marvel Stadium, or even if we signed a contract with a local Melbourne, cricket club or venue to play somewhere in our advantage, because it's not an advantage when we have to travel interstate. But anyway, we're gonna go up to the border and support all the people, all the fans up there who live in those remote areas who can't get down to the MCG every Saturday or Friday night or whenever we're playing over the week. So look, it'll be good for those fans, but yeah, I'd probably have it as a Sydney Thunder home game. That's all I have in terms of reviewing and analysing the fixture. I think we've covered kind of start, middle, and end and all those changes. Now I'm going to hand over to Heath, who wants to take us through some predictions. I know Heath has some numbers in his head that he wants to go through, and he's also going to get me and Josh's predictions. So I'll let you take it away, Heath.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. So now what we're going to do is I have sat down and I've written down all the games plus how we will be going in each of the games, and I'll tell you guys how we'll go overall. So the first game against the Hurricanes at the MCG, I've got us winning us to the dream start because I'm like, okay, we've beaten them before. I reckon we can do it again, and the home ground advantage helps. The second game against the Strikers, I've got us 1-1, so as a loss, so because it's at the Adelaide Oval, and I just think the Strikers will improve and they'll somehow get the Chockies over us. Against the Sixers at the SCG, I've got us going 1-2 because of again the home ground, the disadvantage that we've got to travel to the SCG. Game 4 against the Thunder, I have us 2-2, so like squaring the ledger. Game 5 against the Brisbane Heat, I have us winning away. Game 6, against the Renegades, I have us winning at the MCG. Game 7 against the Sixers, I have us winning again, back-to-back wins and going 5-2. For Game 8 against the Renegades, I was kind. I think we'll lose to the Renegades because to split one apiece for the teams, I think it's fair. For Game 9 against the Strikers at the MCG, I have us going 6-3. And the Perth Scorchers, I have us losing it to our record being 6-4 and 6 wins and 4 losses, and that's my predictions for the fixture.
I love that, Heath. I think it's pretty accurate. I'm going to go 7-3 for my prediction. I think we'll lose to the Perth Scorchers in our final game of the season because we just can't seem to get going at Optus Stadium. They have a very strong record against us. I have us losing once each to the Adelaide Strikers and the Sydney Sixers. So hopefully we can also get a win over them as well, though, as we play them both twice. But yeah, that's about it, I think. Josh, what did you have?
Yeah, I can't see us beating the Scorchers. Sydney Sixers at the SCG, I can't see us winning that. Thunder, I can't really see us winning that. I can see us beating Adelaide Strikers twice. We do know how to play the Adelaide Oval very well, and we've proven that. And I can see us beating the Renegades twice as well. So what would that make it?
Well, it depends how many losses you want to count for us. So obviously 10 games in a season. We could go 7-3. We could go 6-4, 5-5, 8-2.
Let's go 7-3.
7-3, same as me. I like it. Yeah. Well, obviously last season we finished 5-5, and look, it was technically good enough to get us into finals, but really, in any year, that's not going to be enough. Like the competition was just very tight last year, and it didn't matter. But we can't be relying on other teams to win for us to make finals because that's what we had to do last year. We had to rely on percentage and stuff, and we just can't be doing that. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and also my predictions was based off that if we have a full strength 11 and there's no injuries and we're playing great cricket at the right time, and I was just thinking that we like I said, a full strength Melbourne Stars with no injuries, players in form, healthy run with injury. We should be 6-4 and we should be contending for finals. But the problem is like you said, we cannot afford to fall behind and have to play catch up like we did last year. It's important we start off very strong because if we don't, then it's going to be another year of give us hope and then just get ripped apart like we always do.
Yep. And a lot of that relies on the fixture. We have a very tough end to the season this year. With the Scorchers, so we have to be already a lock for finals before that. I think we don't want to be going into our 10th game, needing a must win for finals and then choking out in Perth. So look, yeah, that midway point through the season where we play the Renegades, the Thunder, and a few of those weaker teams like the Brisbane Heat and the Adelaide Strikers at home, we have to capitalise on that. We have to win every game at the MCG. And yeah, like you said, sometimes we can't control things when it's injuries. But availability this year for the internationals looks really good. They're all got full availability. Things can change. I know there's still a lot of time till BBL 15. But I mean, we hope for the best. And that's for every club. We want to see the big players play as much as they can to help promote the league. But yeah, look, injuries we can't control, but form is something that we could definitely work on. And we need to ensure that we're selecting the right players for the job. If people are underperforming, they shouldn't be in the side. We need to sign some new players. I know a lot of the fans have been demanding that. We only have 5 batters, and that includes Tom Rogers. So not a very strong batting lineup at all. So we need to improve that. But yeah, look, still a lot of time. And today we were here to review the fixture, and we've done just that. So I think it's time to wrap it up. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
It's not just injuries; it can also be rain as well. Games can get cancelled with rain delays. And yeah, I mean, I'll be going to the Gabba match against Brisbane Heat, so looking forward to that.
That'll be awesome. I'll also be at a few MCG games, not confirming which ones yet, as I obviously don't know, but I can assure you guys I'll be at a couple there.
Yeah, I'll probably be going to the Derby at Melbourne, and I'll try and get down to an MCG game if we can. If I can, if I can't, then I'll be watching it on the TV. I'll be going live for the YouTube channel. Did you if you guys are at the game, did you want me to do a live stream for Stars games? when you guys are at the ground?
Would be pretty cool, Heath. It's up to you, but yeah, we'll discuss that later on as the season approaches.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So that's everything. I'd like to thank Josh and Jacob as always for coming on to help me with the podcast, as always.
Thank you, Heath. It's been great to review the fixture, something everyone's been waiting for a while now. And how good is it to have the draft and all that news and the fixture come out in close proximity to each other? It's been great these past few weeks to be chatting a lot about the Big Bash. It feels like it's approaching with all this news, but we're still a little while away. So we'll probably enter a little bit of a quiet period in the next couple of months. But who knows? You never know when a big signing will occur. So we'll be on our toes for that.
Yeah, definitely. We also got some news that we've got an interview with the general manager, Max Abbott. Did you want to tell or tease the fans about that, Jacob?
Yep. So we're in planning with it right now. We haven't confirmed anything just yet, but we're planning a podcast for the general manager of the Melbourne Stars. Great guy, lots of experience, lots of stories to tell, and we're looking forward to hearing his thoughts on the draft, the off-season, upcoming season, all that kind of stuff that the general manager would be doing in his everyday life. So we're keen to hear some insights, and maybe we'll put out some fan questions. But yeah, nothing is confirmed just yet, but we're working on it in the next few days, and we'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, tell your friends, and all that stuff that comes with YouTube. Anything to say, Josh, before we wrap it up?
Go Stars. We're gonna have a good season, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Go Stars.
Let's do it. Go Stars.
All right. See you later.
What you doing? You just wanna sunset.